you're actually not behind on AI. And I need you to believe that for a second, because what's actually happening right now is that most people are using it completely wrong. For the last year, AI could work alongside you. You'd ask it something, it would do it, and then you'd take it from there. However, that changed. Now it can work for you, drafting things while you aren't at your desk, researching things overnight, and doing the work while you aren't present. And the truth is, most people haven't caught up to that thing yet. They're still operating like it's a year ago. So today I'm walking you through what actually changed, why most people are still getting it wrong, and what to actually do about it starting tonight. Let's get into it. Before we jump in, if you're a business owner that's struggling with AI right now, then listen up pretty fast. Me and my team at Systems Department have already helped dozens of businesses implement AI inside of their companies. So if you want us to audit your business, identify the highest ROI opportunities for AI or automation, and then actually implement these AI solutions, then check out the link in the description to book a call with me and my team. Now back to video. Alright, so what changed here? The real shift you guys are missing is that a year ago AI could work alongside you. You'd ask it something, it would answer, and then you just took it from there and did the rest manually on your own. And that experience was primarily collaborative, and you just had to handhold AI through the tasks and just iterate a lot of times before you could get a certain output that you liked. And the thing is, right now it can do it on its own, so it can work for you. And it shifts towards more you just kicking off a task or just having it automated based on a certain trigger or a schedule, and then it just does the work for you and you just do the review. So the percentage of time you spend on doing the work is actually none, because all you do is just kick it off, which is 10% of your time, to provide it with context and just describe the task you want. Then 80% of time AI does the work, iterates automatically and does all the things it should do. And the last 10% is just you reviewing its output, and if you set it up correctly, most of the times you won't even need to give it any feedback or give it more guidelines and instructions to go on and fix something. And the thing is that most people are still on the first version, and everything that I'm going to cover in this video will be how you can move to the second version, which is you having AI working for you. Alright, so the first foundational thing that you will do is that you will stop starting every conversation from zero. Because in order for AI to create better output and become autonomous, you need to provide it with a lot of context so it can perform actions on its own and can use its judgment based on the context it has to achieve certain goals that you set to it. So, for recurring tasks that you have right now, if you are just opening a new chat every time and just re-explaining either your business or the tasks you wanted to achieve, you are doing it completely wrong and you are burning the highest leverage move available for you. What I suggest doing here is to build a project per client, per function, or per goal. And if you aren't aware what projects are, it's a special kind of workspace inside of ChatGPT or Claude. By the way, they are called differently in different AI providers, so don't stress if you don't primarily find them, but what I'm sure is that in Claude it's called Claude Projects, and what it allows you to do is to create a persistent project with its own memory and files and even a system prompt, which will be the core instructions for every chat inside of that project. So what I suggest doing is you should set up one for each one of these. For example, one project for client. You can dump everything about that client in that project. You can add all the voice notes, all the key contacts and ongoing goals and even brand guidelines for that client. And then every new chat inside of that project will automatically know everything about the client. So you no longer need to re-explain yourself and provide this context on and on. Another thing is creating a project per recurring function, and this is for example for sales outreach. You can just define your tone of voice and all your specifications for outreach, and then every new chat that you start, it will already have that context files loaded, so you no longer need to re-explain yourself again and again. So as a rule of thumb, what should actually go in the project? It should have a written brief of your business, your audience, your voice, what's worked and what doesn't. And ideally, you should include it in every project so AI has some context about your business. Typically, you can just create a single file which will describe everything about your business and maybe even have your website so AI, if needed, can fetch it and grab more information. Then what's good to have is past examples of good outputs for the specific task. For example, if you have any good cold emails that worked, you can just put them inside a single file and then just upload them in the project. So when writing new ones, it's not guessing, but it's referencing those and also pattern matching, trying to achieve the best output possible. And from any other things is that anything you reference constantly, like pricing sheet, your FAQ, your positioning, your ICP, and anything like that should also probably go into project. And this, by the way, is a single fix on how to get AI to actually sound like you and perform better compared to the 99% of times where people just get generic outputs and then are frustrated by them. Now that we have this covered, I want to talk about building custom skills instead of just reprompting it every single time. When you try to execute a task, you usually have an SOP, a standard operating procedure, which describes just step by step on how to achieve those tasks. And the thing is, you can just give that SOP to your LLM and it will do it on its own. And this is what we call skills. What skills allows you to do is to create this execution plan and then have Claude reference it whenever it needs it. And typically the way you can think about creating a skill, if you find yourself just typing same prompt over and over again, it's probably worth to dedicate some time and go and create a skill for your particular task. Let's look how it looks in practice. So Claude skills or Gemini gems let you package a repeatable task with its own instructions, format and constraints baked in. So you may ask me how to build them, and I'm not going to explain that in this video because that's a long process, but there are great official tutorials by Anthropic that you can just reference. So just go Google Anthropic skills or Claude skills and you will find something like this, which is called Introduction to Agent Skills, which describes everything you need to know about creating skills and using them inside Claude. So here's some examples from my Claude where I have LinkedIn writer, X writer, viral hook generator, lead magnet generator, outreach specialist skill, and even cold email skills that is able to draft me whole email sequences based on my ICP and the people I'm targeting. And once you have them built, the more you use them, the more you will be able to improve them, because you can just at any time go on, open the skill file and edit it. For example, add more instructions, more references, more sample posts and things like that, which will over time will compound and give you better results and more consistent outputs. So now let me just describe a high-level process of creating a skill. So the first thing you need to do is pick one task that you do weekly or more. And once you have it, you just write out the clear step-by-step instructions like you are training a new hire, so a new person, to do this task on its own. Once you have it, you describe all the constraints, examples, and any other rules that the person should follow. Another thing which is super important is that you should probably add references. What I mean by this is sample outputs, context files, and anything that AI would be able to reference when creating the output. A great thing to do is also describe a quality checklist self-verification loop which will be executed at the end of the output, because after it finishes executing, instead of just handing it to you, it will go on its own and double check it against your criterias, and if it finds that there are certain violations, it will go and iterate over and over until all the criterias are met. Once you have it, you save it as a skill, zip it, and then upload it to Claude or any other AI providers that you use. And finally, what I said previously, you just keep updating and refining it until AI gets it 90% of time, which is a very good metric to strive to. Now I want to go over a real example of a LinkedIn writer skills that I have for myself. Alright, so we have skill.md file which describes all the task execution logic on how AI should proceed to create a LinkedIn post, and then we have a folder references where inside we have two more files which describe LinkedIn formats and also have a lot of LinkedIn sample posts. So let's just quickly go over skill.md. So as you see, I have the title for my skill and also a description, which allows Claude to understand when it should use this and automatically applies the skill to the tasks that it's creating. So for example, if I just prompt inside of AI, hey, I need to write LinkedIn post about this thing, Claude will automatically understand that I'm trying to write a LinkedIn post, and it will go on and use this skill automatically without me prompting it to do it. So as you see inside of the skill, I have purpose, execution logic, which just says that it should check for arguments, which is my topics that I provide for the post, and then it has this long instructions about task execution. As you see, first of all, it asks it to read the reference files first, so it understands what LinkedIn formats work and also has examples for the great LinkedIn posts. After that, it asks it to check for business context if it's present, and if it's not, it just skips this step. Then it asks it to analyze the input and auto-select formats from the LinkedIn formats file and also LinkedIn posts. It describes the logic for auto-selection, and then finally, once all of this is done, it moves to the generation phase, where it generates 2 viral LinkedIn posts. We also have a lot of critical requirements here and formats to verify them, writing rules, voice matching rules, format specific rules, and any other constraints. I also give it instructions for the output format, so it gives me the topic it selected or the ones that I provided, and then the 2 posts with their corresponding format names. Finally, I also give it the references, and I explained to it that there are 2 files in here which it also should use, and this is what I mentioned also about quality checklist self-verification. I have it execute all these steps that you see here while it's performing this thing, and also after it generated the post, to make sure it really did a good job and everything is on point and the way it should be. Alright, moving on to connecting it to your tools. And this is probably the most important thing, because before AI starts working for us, we need to give it access to our tools. Think about it like hiring an employee. You need to give him access to its own Gmail account, give it access to the CRM and any other tools across your business. And the same logic applies for AI. You need to connect it with your tools. And this is where connectors come in. You connect your AI to Google Drive, Gmail, CRM, meeting notes, social media accounts, and anything else across your business. And these connectors also have different names. For example, in ChatGPT it's called apps, while in Claude it's called connectors. So again, I hope this isn't confusing, and in this tutorial I will be using Claude, so I will be calling it connectors. So, after you have them connected, now AI is able to perform tasks inside of your systems. For example, it can update your CRM records, draft files and client reports inside of your Google Drive, and also organize your emails, label them, and even remove spam. However, what I want you to know is that the native connectors are limited despite the large amount of them, and there are better tools to use for this, and I will talk about later in this video. Why do connectors matter? Every time you pay something in manually, there's a step where context gets lost or you forget to include something. So instead of doing this, you can now just prompt it to fetch it directly from your Google Drive or from your email thread, and it will go on and do it on its own, so there is less room for a mistake. And on another note, it matters because now AI has access to live data, so you no longer need to upload a document again and again every time you make a change. So you aren't providing it with stale context, but it has always up-to-date information regarding the task it's trying to achieve. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is setting up recurring and scheduled tasks. This is where AI actually starts working for you, not just alongside you. Right now we have available across ChatGPT or any other LLM scheduled tasks. Right now we have available scheduled tasks across ChatGPT or Claude, which allow you to execute a prompt or certain skill daily or weekly or on a specific time every day, so it just runs on its own and you log into ChatGPT and have the ready output on your hands. And here are some practical setups that you can just steal. For example, every Monday at 7 AM you can just have it summarize latest week's industry news and send it to you. Another thing you can do is you can connect it to your email and have it every morning at 7 AM, for example, go on and organize your inbox, remove the spam, label the emails and organize them in folders, so later you can just pull up your Gmail and only pay attention to emails that matter, no spam. The key idea here is that you will have an output waiting for you, not something you should go and remember and ask it every single day or on a certain schedule. Finally, AI agents, and this is where we get complete autonomy, and this is where it also gets a bit technical and a bit advanced, but This is where the real leverage lies in, and this is exactly the reason you should do it. Look, everything we did before required you to initiate something and just kick off a certain task, or just at least configure it and review some output. An AI agent can take actions, observe results, and decide what to do next, on its own without you in the loop for each step. You can think about it as a self-learning loop. So essentially, AI agent starts doing certain tasks, it gives you output, then on its own it goes on and checks this output, and then decides whether it should just stop here or go on and try and do this process again and again and again until it meets certain criteria or the outcome or the goal you set to it is achieved. And you can spawn these AI agents with tools like Claude Code, OpenClaw or Hermes agent that can autonomously kick off or perform things on schedule or on certain trigger. And in order for these agents to work 24/7, ideally you need to host them on a certain server so it's accessible 24/7 and can run anytime on its own, without you disturbing it or relying on your computer being online, connected to internet and being powered on. And the reason that this is different from everything else that we covered so far is that AI agents react, they don't just execute on a schedule. A lead can fill out a form and the agent can automatically go and research about them and just send you a notification. While regular AI just answers your questions or performs certain things that you prompted it to do, AI agent pursue outcomes. They try to achieve the goal and complete the task and don't stop until that thing is done. And with AI agents, you don't even need sometimes to check the output because AI agent will do it on its own. It will verify that it meets your criteria, that the task is completed or the goal is achieved. So what are the pros of AI agents? You have full control, you can do pretty much anything you want, connect any tools there is out there and have any trigger, whether that's a lead submitting a form or an email that just arrived into your email inbox. You also have zero restrictions. You can do whatever you want, use whatever AI model you want and connect it to any tool via either official or unofficial integration. The downsides of the AI agency is that you need to be slightly technical because it's slightly more advanced, or you just need to hire someone that is able to do this for you. It also requires more setup time to get it right, more iterations and also more maintenance throughout the process. And finally, it takes longer time to set up everything, but as I said, payoff is massive, so it's absolutely worth it and it shouldn't stop you from integrating and using AI agents inside of your business. So this is it. I hope this was super useful and you are no longer overwhelmed with AI. You have a clear plan of where to start and how to execute these things that I showed you in this video. If you would like to learn more about the AI agents and see more examples of real AI agents that are running inside real companies, you should probably check out this video next. See you there. Goodbye.